Hi and welcome to Big Door Trading Channel. Today we will learn how to create a stochastic indicator using the Python script language from the TradingView platform. To start, we need to open our Python editor. We do this by clicking on this button right here. After opening the tool, we need to start the indicator code by saying which language version we are going to use. There are currently 4 versions of the Python script language. A compiler directive must be used in the first line of a script to specify the version. After saying the code version, we need to jump to the second line and say whether our code will be a study or a strategy. A study must contain at least one function call which produces some output on the chart. It is used in the construction of indicators. The strategy function is used to build strategies for backtests. As I said at the beginning, today we are going to build the stochastic indicator, and therefore in this second line we need to use the study function. After placing this function, we need to open the parentheses, and within the parentheses we can put various information about our indicator, such as title, short title, overlay, format, precision, and more. But we don't need to use all of that. Just the title and overlay parameters are enough. We put title equal to the name of the strategy, exactly as I am doing here. After saying the name of the strategy, we need to configure the overlay parameter. It serves to say whether we want to plot the indicator together with the price chart or in a separate window. If we want to place the indicator together with the price chart, then the overlay must be equal to true. If we want to place the indicator in a separate window, then the overlay must be equal to false. Here I will plot the stochastic in a separate window. On the third line of this code, we are finally going to build our stochastic indicator. The first thing to do is create a variable that will store the stochastic formula. Doing this is very simple. I will create a variable called stochastic and store the indicator formula inside it. The first part of the stochastic formula is this one. Then just take this result and divide by the highest high for a given period minus the lowest low for a given period. To finalize the formula, we need to take that result and multiply it by 100. Note that this result will be stored in the stochastic variable. Now that we have our indicator calculated, I'm going to use a plot function to put that indicator on the chart. Notice how easy it is to use the plot function. You just need to put the value you want to print on the screen inside the parentheses. After we do that, our code is ready. Now just click on Add to the chart and see how it looks. If you want to add levels in the stochastic, just add more plots and add them to the chart again. In the previous class, we learned how to program fast stochastic in period 5. Today, we are going to learn how to put some settings in our indicator so that it can be calibrated without having to modify its code. To make it clear what we are going to do, we will include in the chart the standard stochastic offered by TradingView itself. Let's click on this option indicator and look for stochastic. Type the word stochastic and click on it. When we do this, the indicator will be inserted in the chart. Now let's configure the stochastic so that it looks just like the stochastic we created in the last class. Let's remove all these ornaments and put K for 5, D for 1, and Smooth for 1. After doing this, notice that the two indicators were exactly the same. However, if we try to modify our stochastic that we created in the previous class, you will notice that we were unable to make any changes to the indicator using this window. But don't worry, that's what we are going to learn to do today. We will transform our stochastic into an indicator that can be calibrated through inputs. To do this, the first thing is to know what inputs we want to include in our code. In this lesson, we will learn how to create an input that defines the stochastic period. That is, we will allow the user to decide what the value of K will be. Now that we know what our input will be, it's time to get our hands dirty and make it happen. Start by writing what name your input will receive in the code, in which case I will call this input K. Now K needs to be able to receive the value that the user selects in the properties window. Then K must be equal to the input function. Open the parentheses and organize the parameters of the input function. It is important to say that the input function has some parameters, but we will only use two parameters: the default value and the title that will appear to the user. Within the parentheses, start by saying the default period that your indicator will have when it is inserted in the chart. In that case, I will want period 5. Then put a comma and use the title parameter to say the title of the input in the properties window. That done, just replace all the numbers for the stochastic period with the input we created. In all places where we have the number 5, we will change it to the word K, as it will store the period that the user selects. Now just click on Add to the chart and see how it looks. You can now configure stochastic outside the code. In the last class, we learned how to add an input to the stochastic indicator that we created. I showed that in a few lines of code it was possible to create a stochastic much like the standard stochastic offered by TradingView itself. Today we will learn how to insert a moving average in the chart using the Pine editor. To begin this lesson, we will include in the chart a standard moving average offered by TradingView itself. Note that in this settings window, it is possible to change some settings such as length, source, and more. That's exactly what we're going to do. To start, open your Pine editor by clicking on this button. Delete everything written in your Pine editor so that we can start a new code from scratch. In the first line of the code, we need to specify which language version we are going to use. Since version 4 is the most recent, I will use version 4. In the second line of the code, we need to say whether our code is going to be an indicator or if the code is going to be a strategy. It is important that you understand that the Pine editor serves to build both indicators and trading strategies. Therefore, we always need to say at the beginning of the code what we are going to program. For this, there are two functions that define the type of code: the study function and the strategy function. I will use the study function, as this code will aim to plot a moving average on the chart. I will define the code name and the overlay. In this case, the overlay must be equal to true, as we will want to plot the moving average along with the price chart and not in a separate window. Now let's go to line 4. Here I am going to create a variable called A. This variable I will use to store the moving average value. After writing the name of your variable, you need to put the equal sign and then use the function that returns the moving average value. This function is called SMA, and it is able to return the values of a moving average according to the parameters placed within the parentheses. The first parameter is the value you want to use as a source to calculate the average. In that case, I want an average based on the closing price. The second parameter consists of the length of this moving average. In that case, I will want a 20-period moving average. Now let's go to line 7. Here I am going to use the plot function to bring to the chart this value that we get in the code. Just write the word plot and insert within the parentheses the variable we use to store the moving average value. When finished, click the Add to Chart button and see how it looks. The moving average was successfully plotted on the chart. However, it is not yet possible to modify the moving average using the settings window. To do this, let's go back to the Python editor and add some inputs to the code. The first input will serve for the user to choose which source will be used to calculate the average. So let's create a variable called moving average source and use the input function to store what the user chooses in the properties window. We will use the same parameters taught in the past class. First, I will tell what the default value will be, and then I need to say what the title of this parameter will be in the settings window. The second input will serve for the user to choose the period of the moving average. The process to be done is the same as in line 4. Now, all we need to do is use these variables that store the values chosen by the user and insert them in the function of the moving average. That done, just add it to the chart again. Note that we can now configure the moving average using the settings window. Although this class is technically simple, it is very important for those who are starting to learn a first programming language. In today's class, we will learn about variable declaration and variable assignment, two very important subjects for everyone who wants to learn more deeply how to use the Python editor. But what is a variable? In programming, in a simple way, the variable is a word that you will create at the beginning of your code so that it can be used to store important values for your strategy. For example, we can create a variable called myClosingPrice and use it to store the closing price of the stock. This variable will be called by the name you enter and we will store what you want. Just as we use boxes to store objects, so we use variables to store values that are important for the strategy we are creating. Whenever we are going to declare a variable, we need to say what its type is, that is, what it will store. There are three main types: int, use it to store whole numbers. Float, use it to store numbers with decimal place. And bool, use it to store the word true or the word false. The following is an example of how to declare a variable in order to use it to store integers. First, you write the word var. This causes it to be declared only once. Then, write the type of your variable. Then, write the name. And finally, put the equal sign and write the word not. This is just one of the ways that the Python editor offers us to declare variables. Now, see an example of how to declare a variable in order to use it to store numbers with decimal place. First, you write the word var. This causes it to be declared only once. Then, write the type of your variable. Then, write the name, and finally, put the equal sign and write the word not. Now that we have our variables created, we need to learn how to work with them in the code. So it is important that you learn the concept of variable assignment. Every time you want to use the variable you created at the beginning of the code to store some value, we need to use a special symbol that has the functionality to make your variable store the value you requested. For example, suppose we want to store the number 7 inside a variable that we created. To do this, we will first write the name of the variable, place the attribution symbol, and say which number we want to store in the variable, which in this case is number 7. It is important to say that the number must be compatible with the type you have defined for your variable. Now let's suppose that we want to store the number 7.77 inside a variable that we created. To do this, we will first write the name of the variable, place the attribution symbol, and say which number we want to store in the variable, which in this case is the number 7.77. It is important to say that the number must be compatible with the type you have defined for your variable. To conclude this lesson, we will print these two values on the chart. We do this using the plot function. That done. Now let's click on this button and see how it looks. Our two variables were successfully plotted. In today's class, we will learn how to create the famous MACD indicator using the Python editor from the TradingView platform. To begin this lesson, we will include in the chart a standard MACD offered by TradingView itself. Note that in this settings window, it is possible to change some important settings for this indicator. Our job today is to recreate that MACD. To start, open your Python editor by clicking on this button right here. Delete everything written in your Python editor so that we can start a new code from scratch. In the first line of the code, we need to say which language version we are going to use. As version 4 is the most recent, so I will use version 4. In the second line of the code, we need to say whether our code is going to be an indicator or if the code is going to be a strategy. This code will be used to create an indicator, so I will use the study function. If you have questions about this part, watch the past classes where I talked about it. I will define the code title and the overlay. In this case, the overlay must be equal to false, as we will want to plot the MACD in a separate window. Before starting the construction of MACD, let's get to know a little more about this indicator. MACD is an indicator of technical analysis based on moving averages that show downward or upward trends. MACD is the acronym for Moving Average Convergence Divergence. The indicator was created by Jared Apple in the 1960s. It is calculated by making the difference between a short-term moving average and a long-term moving average. The construction of the MACD therefore uses three main elements: a long-term exponential moving average, a short-term exponential moving average, and a exponential moving average of the MACD itself. Now that we know a little about this indicator, the first thing we should do is to define what the short-term exponential average will be used in calculating the indicator. So I'm going to create a variable called fast length and store the exponential average of 12 periods inside it. The function that returns the exponential moving average is called EMMA. Within the parameters, I need to define the source of the average calculation and the length. The second thing we should do in our code is to define what the long-term exponential average will be used in calculating the indicator. Then I will create a variable called slow length and store the value of the exponential average of 26 period inside it. The function that returns the exponential moving average is called EMMA. Within the parameters, I need to define the source of the average calculation and the length. Now let's create a variable called MACD. This variable will store the difference between a short-term moving average and a long-term moving average. Put the equal sign and use the two variables we created above to make this calculation. After that, we will calculate the signal value. We do this by calculating an exponential moving average of the MACD itself. Now that we have our indicator calculated, I'm going to use a plot function to put that indicator on the chart. Now just click on Add to the chart and see how it looks. However, it is not yet possible to modify the MACD using the settings window. To do this, let's go back to the Pine editor and add some inputs to the code. The first input will aim to allow the user to define the value to be used in a short-term moving average variable. Define the name of the variable that will store the user-defined value. Start by writing what name your input will receive in the code, in which case I will call this input fast. Now, fast needs to be able to receive the value that the user selects in the properties window. We will do this using the input function. Within the parentheses, start by saying the default period of the short-term moving average. In this case, I will want the period 12. Then put a comma and use the title parameter to say the title of the input in the properties window. Repeat the process for all other inputs for your indicator. That done, just insert each input in its respective place in the code so that the user is able to configure the MACD through the properties window. Now just click on Add to the chart and see how it looks. You can now configure MACD outside the code. Today I want to show you how to make your strategy make simple decisions. To do this, we use the word if. Alright, so simply write the word if and open the parentheses. Here you will test something. For example, I will write a test to find out if A is greater than B. Note that A is equal to 7 and B is equal to 3. If this test is true, that is, if A is greater than B, it will execute a specific piece of code. For example, let's say that if A is greater than B, then it must store the blue color within a variable. Okay? The first thing to continue this code is to skip a line, then just click on the tab key, OK, and write the piece of code you wanted to execute if A is greater than B. In this case, I'm going to store the blue color inside a variable that I call C. Now I'm going to use the bar color function to paint all the bars in the chart with the color stored inside the variable C. Okay, if I add this to the chart, you will notice that all the bars will be painted blue. And this was because during the execution of the code, the variable A was always greater than the variable B. But if I change the logic of the test and say that A must be less than B, you will notice that no bars will be painted. Observe. But I can also write a piece of code to be executed if the test response is false. All I need to do is use the word else, then skip a line and click the tab key and write the piece of code you want it to execute if the test answer is false. In this case, I'm going to store the yellow color inside a variable that I call C. Okay, so now just click on that button and let's see how it looks. Notice that he painted all the bars yellow. In today's class, we will learn how to develop an algorithm capable of identifying whether the market is in an up or down trend. The idea is to paint all bars that are above the 50-period moving average with green, and paint all bars that are below the 50-period moving average with red. So we will open the Python editor by clicking on this button. In the first line of the code, I need to say which language version I'm gonna use. Here I will use version 4. In the second line, I will put the study function, as this code is not a backtest strategy. Okay, now I will define the code title and say that the overlay must be equal to true. In this way, the moving average will be plotted along with the price chart. Now let's create a variable called X to use it to store the color in which we want to paint the bars. Now I'm going to create two variables, right? Two variables. A variable called A that I will use to store the closing price of the bar, and another variable called B that I will use to store the value of the 50-period moving average. Okay, now we need to create a logical test to find out if the closing price is greater than the value of the moving average. So all we need to do is just write that A must be greater than B. Okay, if that is true, then I want to store the green color inside the variable X. Okay, so let's repeat that. If A is greater than B, then I want to store the green color inside the variable X. If the closing price is greater than the 50-period moving average, then I want to store the green color inside the variable X. Okay, now we need to create a second logical test to see if the closing price is less than the value of the moving average. And if that is true, I want to store the red color inside the variable X. Now just use the bar color function to send a command so that the bars of the chart will be painted with the color that is stored inside the variable X. Okay, and just click on that button, add to the chart. Alright, and let's see how it looks. All the bars that are above the moving average have been painted green, and all the bars that are below the moving average have been painted red. Alright, so that's it. In today's lesson, we will learn how to create an indicator that I have called the moving average cloud. What we are going to do is take a 12-period exponential moving average and move 3% upward, and take a 12-period exponential moving average and move 3% downward. Okay, to start, we need to open our Pine editor, and we do this by clicking on this button right here. In the first line, we will tell the compiler which language version of Pine script we are going to use, and I will use version 4. Now let's use the study function and define the code title and also the overlay. In this case, the overlay must be equal to true, because this indicator will be plotted together with the price chart. Now let's start the construction of our indicator. For that, I will create a first variable that should store the value of the exponential moving average of 12 periods. Alright, this variable I will call source, and I will put a equal sign and store within this variable a value of the exponential moving average of 12 periods. Now we are going to create a variable called upper. That variable should store the top line of the indicator. The calculation to be made is as follows. I will take the value of the source variable and multiply it by 3%, so that we have a top line that will always be above the center line. Okay, now you will create a variable called lower. This variable should store the indicator's bottom line. The calculation to be made is as follows. I'm going to take the value of the source variable and divide it by 3%, so we will have a final result that will always be below the center line. And that's it. Now just use the plot function to plot all that values on the chart. Now just click on that button and let's see how it looks. Now we have a moving average cloud. If you want to copy this code for free, visit the website. The link is in the description. Hello everybody, today I'm going to teach you how to program a simple strategy here in Pine editor. First, you need to add the version of the code. Here we are going to use the version 4. If you know how to program in version 4, you will know how to program in version 5, in version 3, version 2, version 1, there's no problem. So first say the version of the code. After that we need to put the strategy function, because we are going to program a strategy for backtest, and put the title of the strategy, and the title will be strategy, just like that. Okay, so after that we need to create our buy signal to enter the trade. Okay, buy signal and exit signal. So I'm going to put here that we want to enter the trade when we have a big red bar. So I will put like this, and
I will have a big red bar, and my exit signal will be a green bar, just like this. Then put the if structure and use the strategy, position, size. Why we are doing that? Because when strategy position size is equal 0, that means that we have no positions. And then if buy signal equal true, then we can enter the trade. And how we are going to enter the trade? We will use the strategy entry function, right? The name of that order will be entry, and this is a buy order, so I will put true here. After that, we will create an order to exit the trade. So let's use the strategy, position, size, and if it's greater than 0, we know that we have a position opens. Then put here your exit signal and just put strategy, close, and the ID of the entry, right? Just like that, very simple, very simple. Okay, we have here strategy entry and strategy close. Okay, that's a buy strategy, and I will put here to process orders close, and just click add to the chart and we will have a strategy. Okay, so add to the chart and list of trades. There it is. We have a strategy programmed in Python script. Very simple. It's very simple. Okay, that's the basics of Python script. That's the version 4. The version 5 is almost the same. So why we entered here? Because we have a red bar that is very big. Okay, that's 4% of negative. Then we enter here and we close our trade here because it's a green bar. So we enter when we have a big red bar and we close the trade when we have a green bar, just like that. We enter here, close here, enter here, close here, enter here, close here, and there it is. That's our strategy, and there it is. Okay, let's see right here, and that's our strategy, right? Very cool. That's strategy, and there it is. If you liked the video, please leave a like, press the like button, and that's it. Okay, let's start our code today. Let's create a sell signal. Here we have a buy signal for our strategy. This buy signal refers to a big red bar like this, right? Here we are just asking for our code to enter the trade when we have a big red bar with 2% of negative, like this. All the time when we have a big red bar, this strategy will buy here on the close, right? Because we are using process orders on close equal true, then our strategy will buy here. And the exit signal will be when we have a green bar, and we need to create a sell signal. Our sell signal will be when we have a big green bar. It's the opposite of the buy signal. Okay, and remember this for the daily chart. So here we have a sell signal created. Okay, I'm gonna change the name here and put exit buy signal. And now I'm going to create an exit sell signal. And how I'm gonna do that, I will put here that close need to be less than open to exit a sell trade. Here we created all we need: a buy signal, a sell signal, a exit buy signal, and a exit sell signal. But I will put here an indicator. Okay, what indicator I will put here? I will put a moving average here. So just put a variable, whatever name you want, and then you put the word ta like this, and put SMA just like that. Ta SMA. Here we have to put the source and the length of the moving average. The source will be the close, and the length I will put 20 like this. We are going to use this moving average here in our buy signal and sell signal. So I'm gonna add the AND operator, and I'm put here that the close need to be greater than the moving average like this. And for the sell signal we are going to do the opposite, and here we are going to put strategy position size equals 0. And if we have our buy signal, then we want to enter the trade, so we are going to use the strategy entry function like this and add our parameters. The ID of my entry will be buy entry like this, just like this. And here we have a different type of parameter. We need to put strategy long like this. Look, strategy long. We'll click and check here our PineScript version 5 reference manual, and here you can see that we work like this: strategy long, strategy short. So there it is, strategy long. Now we are going to copy this and paste here and change for our sell signal. If we have the sell signal, we will have a sell entry, and here we will put strategy short like this. Now let's create our exit buy signal and our exit sell signal blocks. So strategy position size greater than 0. If strategy position size is greater than 0, then we are in a buy trade. Okay, so what we are going to do, we want our exit buy signal. So there it is, exit buy signal like this. If exit by signal equal true, then we are going to exit the trade, just like that. Exit close. Very simple. Then what we need to do here, we are going to ask our strategy to close the trade. So we need to say what trade we want to close. Then just copy here the ID of our order here and paste here by entry, just like that. Very simple. Now let's repeat the process right here, just like that. Here for the exit sell signal, and here we put sell entry. We're using the version 5. As you can see, it's very simple. It's almost the same like the version 4. It's almost the same. Okay, and let's see if we did everything correct. And there it is, added to the chart. Very cool. Our strategy. Remember that we are programming a simple strategy just to work as an example. And there it is. We have here a sell entry and the close for this trade, and it's working perfectly using the moving average filter we added. If you want to see the moving average on the chart, you can use the plot function. Okay, this variable m is storing our moving average value. Okay, and I hope this lesson was helpful. I'm sharing with you how you can program a buy and sell strategy. I'm gonna make more tutorials on the channel, and if you want more tutorials, leave a like, because this is a free course that I'm working on this channel. Okay, so that's the video, and see you in the next video. Today I want to teach you how to add some inputs to the code and how we are going to do that. First, you need to create a variable. So let's suppose we wanted to create a input to the moving average length. How we are going to do that? I will put here the word period, just like that, and I will put the input function. And just to remember you, I'm using the latest version of the Python script, the version 5. Okay, if you know how to program in version 4 or in version 3, version 2, version 1, you will know how to program in version 5. So don't worry with the version of your code. So here we are going to put the input function, and let's add our parameters. You have here the default value, the title. What we are going to do is to put number 20 here, because 20 is the period or the length of our moving average. And let's put a title to this input, just like that. Let's put here a title, length of, let's put SMA, just like that. And here where you have the number 20, you will put the name of your input. Okay, the name is period. And now you can change the period of the moving average here on the chart. Okay, so add it to the chart, and let's wait. And there it is, our strategy. And here we have the settings, and in the settings we have the length of SMA, and you can change the length here. Very simple, very simple. And that's it. Subscribe, leave a like, and that's all. Okay? And don't forget to check our website. Hello and welcome to one more video here on Big Dot Trading channel. Today we are going to create this strategy right here. We are going to use the highest high and a moving average of 5 lows. This is our buy signal. We are going to enter here with a buy order on the close, and our target will follow the highest high of 2 periods. And how we are going to program that? We need to start our code with the version we are going to use, and here we are going to use the version 5. Okay, after using the version 5, we need to put the strategy function right here, and we need to add the parameters, and here we are going to put a title for this code, and I'm gonna put here just the name strategy. We are going to put the overlay equal true. Why we are going to do that? Because we cannot plot the moving average in a separate window. We need to plot the moving average together with the price chart. Now let's continue our code. Put the word ta and highest, just like that, for the highest high. And let's see the source and the length. The source here, it's high, and the length, it's 2, just like that. Now we have the value for the highest high using this variable right here, and let's get the moving average value. So I'm put here M5 equal ta dot let's put SMA. Okay, SMA, it's for simple moving average. If you want exponential moving average, you can use EMMA, just like that. So here I'm gonna use a simple moving average, and that's the parameters. The source will be low, and the length will be 5. So look, now we have the value for the highest high right here, and the value for the moving average of 5 lows right here. Okay, so very simple. That's all you need to do for now. As you can see, we are going to buy when we have the candle closing below the moving average. And how we are going to program that? Let's put here buy signal and equal sign, and let's program this. And close less than M5, just like that. When you program this, you are saying that you want to enter the trade when the close is below the moving average. Exactly this. Okay, and that's our buy signal. This is just a buy strategy. Okay, we are not going to enter in sell positions, just buy positions. So let's put here this structure that I like, using the strategy, position, size. I like to do like this. Okay, we have other ways to program, but I like this way. So if strategy position size equals 0, then we are going to put our buy signal right here, and if buy signal equal true. Okay, equal true. Then we are going to send a strategy entry, just like that. And as you can see, when we call the function strategy entry, we need to put the ID of our order. And here I'm gonna put entry by, okay, or we can put by entry, just like that. And we are going to put that we want to enter in a buy trade, so we use strategy long because we are going to buy. If we are going to sell, we need to put here strategy short, but we are going to buy, that's a buy entry, so we use strategy long. If we enter a trade, look, our strategy position size will be greater than 0. And if our strategy position size is greater than 0, then we want to exit the trade. So let's put here strategy exit function. The ID of that exit will be exit by, and then you copy this name and paste here, just like that. And let's see, ID from entry quantity, and we are going to use this parameter right here, limit. Why we are going to do that? Because we are going to exit the trade on the highest high price. Okay, the highest high will be our exit point, so we are going to use the limit parameter. Our highest high value is here on this variable. Okay, so all we need to do is to put this variable right here. Let me show you. That's all you need to do. Okay, and now we are going to exit the trade on the highest high of 2. Then all you need to do is just add the chart, and there it is, our strategy. And let's see, it's everything okay, but we didn't use the process orders on close. We have awesome statistics, but here I'm gonna put the process orders on close, just like that. Add to chart, and let's wait, and there it is. Now that's it, that's what we want. As you can see, we are entering the trade and exit the trade on the highest high. But let's plot the indicators on the chart. Let's go. You need to use the plot function and then plot what you want. Put here M5, and I'm just gonna put that here and add the chart, and that's it. We are buying when the candle close below the moving average, and our target is on the highest high. I'm gonna put this code on the website, and here we have the statistics. That strategy is very simple, but we have awesome statistics here. Look the statistics here. Okay, if you liked the video, just click on the like button, subscribe to the channel, and all I ask is just that you give a like, subscribe to the channel. Okay, that's all. And I hope you liked this video, and see you in the next video. Hello and welcome to one more video here on Big Door Trading Channel. Today we are going to program this strategy right here. We are going to buy on the close of that candle right here, because as you can see here, the candle closed below this moving average of 5 lows, and we're going to exit the trade right here because this candle closed above this moving average of 5 highs. We are also going to add a stop loss to our code. First, you need to say the version you are going to use, and we are going to use version 5. Then let's put here the strategy function and the title of our code. Let's put here something like strategy or whatever name you want to put here. Here I want overlay equal true because I want the two moving averages together with the price chart. So I'm gonna put here upper, and let's get the moving average value. First we need to put the source of our moving average and then the length. The source will be the high and the length will be 5, and here we are gonna put lower SMA, and the source will be low and the length will be 5. Doing that, we are going to have a upper line and a lower line. Now let's create our buy signal, and let's put that the previous close right here needs to be greater than the lower line, this lower line right here. So the close here needs to be greater. And now we also need that the close of the candle is lower than our moving average here. So let's put lower line just like that. And now let's program our exit signal, close greater than upper. And now we have a buy signal and an exit signal. And let's just create this strategy using the strategy position size and put equal 0, and then use our buy signal right here. Buy signal equal true. If buy signal equal true, let's put strategy entry. Okay, and the ID of our order, I'm just gonna put entry, and we are going to enter in a buy trade. So we need to put here strategy dot long. Okay, so let's put here our exit block. So strategy position size greater than 0, and let's put here our exit signal. Exit, look here, the ID to exit that trade. Just put the name, and we're going to add a stop loss to our strategy. And to add a stop loss to your strategy, you need to use the strategy exit function. I'm gonna put here stop loss. That's the ID of our order from entry. Let's copy here and paste here. And now let's use this parameter right here, stop, because we are going to add a stop loss to our strategy. So put here stop, and I'm gonna add a stop loss of 4%. Okay, 4%. That's our stop loss. So if we enter here, I'm gonna add a stop loss of 4%. And how we are going to program that? You need to use the strategy position average price divide by 1.04, and that's our stop loss. And don't forget, we want to enter on the close of candles, so let's use process orders on close, just like that. All right, let's plot our indicators on the chart, upper and lower, and that's our code. I'm sorry, here I used the strategy exit, but here it's strategy close. All right, I'm sorry, you just need to put here strategy close. Okay, don't forget to put strategy close. Right, so now let's add to the chart again, and everything will be okay. All right, so don't forget this. Here we are going to use strategy close, not strategy exit. It's strategy close. Look, we are entering the trade when we have the candle closing below the moving average, as you can see right here. Okay, the candle closes below that moving average, and then when the candle closes above the moving average, we exit the trade, just like that. All right, and here you can see the stop loss working. We enter here, and the stop loss of 4% right here. Okay, just like that. And our strategy, very cool, working here with stop loss and exit signal. I'm gonna add this code to the website. We are working to create a better website, and don't forget to leave a like to this video. If it was helpful, just give a like, and see you in the next video. Today we are going to program this strategy right here, 3 green candles. We are going to send a buy order right here, and we are going to have a target and a stop loss of 5%. So let's start our strategy today, and we are going to use the version 5. Let's put here the strategy function and the name of our code. So let's create our buy signal. First, we need to put that we want close greater than open. So we have the first candle, close greater than open. Now let's get the second candle, So just put the AND operator and close greater than open. And now we have this second candle. Look, this is the first candle. Alright, this is the second candle. Now we need to put the third candle like this, and now we have 3 green candles. But let's put something more on that strategy. Let's pick up the high of that candle and say that the high of that candle needs to be greater than the high of that candle right here. So let's put just like that. And let's say to the code that the high of this candle needs to be greater than the high of this candle right here. So just put something like that, and that's cool. And now let's do something more. What about the lows? Let's pick up the low of that candle and say that the low needs to be greater than the low of the previous candle. And how we are going to do that? Let's put the AND operator. The low of that candle, we just put here low, it's to be greater than the previous low candle, and low of that candle here needs to be greater than the low of that candle right here. And there it is. We have our pattern programmed using PineScript. So let's program our strategy code using the strategy position size equals 0, and let's put if by signal. Okay, let's send an order. Let's put here strategy entry, and there it is, by entry, just like that. And we want to send a strategy long, right? Because this is a buy order, so we put strategy long here. And now let's create our target and stop loss. Very simple. It's very simple. Let's put strategy greater than 0, and let's send our strategy exit just like that, and stop loss just like that, and by entry paste here, right? And now we are going to use the limit parameter, as you can see here, and let's put strategy position average price multiplied by 1.5, and this is 5% for our target. And just use the stop parameter and put strategy position average price divided by 1.05. There it is. We have a stop loss and a target for our strategy. Okay, and that's our pattern. Very simple. As you can see, it's a very simple code. And now we just need to add to chart and see if it is everything okay. And it's everything okay. Look that, very cool. awesome statistics right here. And let's see our strategy. As you can see, we can put the overlay equal true, just like that. Overlay equal true, and add to chart again, and let's see our strategy. Look, our pattern right here, 3 green candles. Look, our pattern here, 3 green candles. 5% it's our target, 5% our stop loss. But as you can see, we have a problem here. And what's the problem? We are not entering the trade on the high of the signal bar. We're entering the trade on the open of the next bar, and that's not what we want. So to change this, we need to create here a parameter to our strategy. So put here this parameter, stop high, and put here strategy cancel, right? ID, and just put here by entry. So add to chart again. That's our strategy, exactly like this, right? Look, we have here 3 green candles, and we have here 3 green candles. Very cool. Very, very awesome. Our strategy, as you can see. So more entries here, more entries here, okay, and our strategy. If you liked that video, just give it a like. All right, don't forget to visit our website, and see you in the next video.